Support Pro Play Games on Patreon.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy Yeehaw Yadam here on the PPG channel as one of PPG's 1P gamers. It's gonna be a quick deck profile on my Luffy list that I took to top 16 at the Arlington Regional, the first 1,000 player event. It was actually 800, but first 1,000 player in-person event here in North America for the trading card game. Now, this is gonna be a quick deck profile. If you guys want a more in-depth deck profile, please make sure to check out the Pro Play Game Patreon, where I'll be going a little bit more in depth on my deck, my choices, and in general, my matchups and what I do believe in the near future. So let's get right to it without any more hesitation. So obviously we have our leader here for you guys that don't know. This is the structured deck Luffy that came out in ST1 base. Now this Luffy is very, very simple in his effect. He just states that once per turn, I can go ahead and get one of my rested dons and give it to one of my characters and or leader. It's like a very weak effect, nothing really crazy when you compare it to like maybe what you would think Kaido's effect is Burner Life. But that effect and that fluidity that it gives you to just put one of your already rested dons, one of your characters, is really, really nice. You can think of cards of very high costed value like Whitebeard, right? A 9-drop, you can in a sense use it as an 8-drop in your head if you can go ahead and move that don into somewhere that really matters by using that. So starting off with the bread and butter of the deck, we have the classic. I'm playing triple Curly D and 4 of the Nami. Right, these are my searchers. These are the cards that are going to find me the very important pieces that exist in the deck. So Nami, we all know what she does. She basically looks at the top 5 and adds a Straw Hat character to my hands. There's a plenty of Straw Hats. I believe my deck has anywhere between 4 to 26. And so therefore the probability that she misses is very, very low. But she's also looking for very powerful cards. She finds removal in forms of the Jet Pistol. Finds counter power in forms of Radical Beam or Gum Gum Red Hawk for 2k counters. He also finds our very aggressive characters in our Monkey.D.Luffy 5-drop, our Zoro 3-drop, and even our Monkey.D.Luffy drop 2k counter can be aggressive if necessary. So finds almost all the important pieces of our deck. Our mid game, she finds our Nico Robin, she finds our late game, she finds our 5-drop, and she finds all the important pieces. There's nothing more that I can say. Card is one of the best cards in the deck, and it's always exceptional to have her in the early game because even though she is, doesn't put a lot of pressure, the fact that she's a 2k, if your opponent has characters like Momonosuke as well as Money, you can go ahead and pressure those, and then cards like Makino gain double value in the late game, where Nami can go in for a surprise, very hefty amount of damage. Now, Curly D is a card that was introduced in OPO2. Curly D allows us to look for a lot of the very powerful 1-drops that exist. Number 1 being Gordon. Gordon has been flying under the radar, and the fact that it goes ahead and reduces the cost of a character by 3k is insane. And I don't try to use that word too lightly, but 3k basically allows for any character that once he's summoned and there's a rested character, for 1 Dawn, you're basically getting the value of 3, aka a Machino, right? So you can use it as a way to like reduce a very hefty character's cost and then swing into it. Or if they go ahead and summon something really big, like a Captain Kid A-drop, you can go ahead and reduce it and then pop it with a pistol. Very similar to Otama, but you're very happy Gordon. If you can go ahead and field the Gordon on a turn where it's very important that a pivotable character comes down, it may make your opponent play a little bit differently. Therefore, because of that, play awkward. So Curly D just facilitates the fact that we can find those cards easier. She can find our Nami, which is crazy, right? If you go Curly D into Nami into Zoro, it's a very disgusting play. 1 card turned into 3. Not only that, but she also finds the strongest 2k counter in the game in terms of Otama. She also finds Makino, which is aggression. Curly D, exceptional card, came out and basically made Zoro, Law, and all these Luffy decks. You kind of play like a 1-drop red, 1-drop engine that allows you to keep up with them, and that's kind of what was facilitated in this. So those are the bread and butter searchers, and then here are our heavy hitters. Starting off with the number 1 heavy hitter, we have our Rush Zoro. Now, Rush Zoro, it's always been a very powerful card. Even the super rare from set 1 has maintained insane value because of just the great stat line that it has. A 3 for 5 is already fantastic. Sure, it doesn't have counter power, but it has the Baroque and key term Rush. So Rush in this game is basically charged as everything has summoning sickness. The fact that you're giving a character with 5k stat line Rush allows you to use it as a removal option, aggressive option. You can even leave it there menacingly waiting for it to go ahead and attack later on. It can be found by Nami. It has no counter, so you always want to field these cards in a good, a nice tight spot and make sure you use it very aggressively. So for Zoro is the opted of our damage characters. Then we also have Luffy, our 5-drop Luffy that we're playing 3 of. Now, the reason we play 3 of is because even though this card is very, very powerful, it does have no counter. It is a hefty cost. 5 is not a simple cost in this game, as it is half of our 10-drop turn. So it is going to take up a lot of our Dawn, but the fact that it can become an unblockable character is awesome, right? Being unblockable in this game is very, very powerful, especially versus specific archetypes. It is a 6k just net, so you can always defend it easier than you can defend your leader, and it also has the confirm rush. So very powerful card. I think we played 3 of it. I didn't want to go too heavy because I don't want my deck to be too heavy on non-countered cards that are on the heavier side. I want those cards to be very, very impactful, and that's why I opted to go and max out on what I believe is the most impactful big boy in the game, 4 of Edward. Okay, so now this character kind of has warped the meta. This card has become something that is central to so many decks, and the Luffy deck is one that hasn't escaped. Well, Luffy is a deck that kind of revolves not necessarily around the Newgate, but just on the powerhouse ability and making use of this card as much as possible. So you're able to go ahead and summon this guy, make your leader 7. You can go back-to-back Whitebeard and trigger your Whitebeard's effect while also summoning the second Whitebeard, which is really good. No other deck in the game can do that. And this card just wins games. He's back-breaking. 1 is okay, 2 is disgusting, but the third one most probably will win you the game. And if you summon 4, you get a free sponsorship by... No, I'm just kidding. But definitely a very, very powerful card. Yeah, I don't know what more to say. This card has turned red into the powerhouse that it is, and in conjunction with a bunch of other factors, he's one of the culprits behind this, making sure that red stays powerful. Then we have our destruction rate. So it does seem like our deck is very heavy on the late game side. We do want to get to our 9-drop turn. We want to just go Whitebeard into Whitebeard. And how do we facilitate that in such an aggressive meta? Well, we have to play some sort of early game tempo destruction characters. And I opted to play double Vista and then 4 of the one and only Robin, right? So this is going to be my count. I know the winning list went ahead and maxed out on both Vista and Robin, but I wanted those cards to be a little bit different. Now I'll show you what those 2 Vistas were in my deck later on, but we have the Nico Robin and Vista. Nico Robin I do believe is a little bit stronger, even though you are paying upfront cost, right? Nico Robin doesn't get her destruction effect until she attacks, but the fact that you're playing Luffy makes you want to go first, right? You always want to be on the draw, so you can play all of your strong 1-drops and then follow it up with an Nico Robin. If you don't follow up with Nico Robin, you can follow it up with Zoro. If you don't follow up with Zoro, you can follow with X, Y, or Z. The deck has a very great odd curve, the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, kind of where you want to be. And Nico Robin is easier to defend than Vista, destroys cards consistently. So if you can have your Nico Robin swing, destroy a card, and then become unrested, and then do it again, most possibly won that game when you're playing versus a deck that kind of needs board, right? So you have to know the matchups where she comes down and gets fielded in. Funnily enough, even against Whitebeard, where you would think Vista is a really bad card, like if you Vista versus Whitebeard, you're not really doing anything. That Nami's never swinging. But Nico Robin, in conjunction with Gordon, allows you to remove 6k costed leaders, right? So my favorite play in the game when I'm playing Luffy is I'll go ahead and I'm going first, because Whitebeard most of the time they choose second versus me for whatever reason. I'll go Nami on turn 1, right? If I don't have Nami, it doesn't matter, but I'll go Nico Robin on turn 2, so I'm at 3 Dawn. On turn 5, I go play Gordon effect, Luffy ability on Robin, put another Dawn on Robin. Now I have 3 Dawn left. I swing leader for 6, destroy their 6k, attack you to Luffy, swing leader for 8k. And now that turn, they've had to defend so much damage that they have to eat it. If they're Strawbeard, now I basically put them down 2 turns, and now they can probably not play their 9-drop. If they took the 6 and then they take the 8, oh boy, I don't have to worry about Newgate. And all of a sudden, the game changes drastically while keeping the tempo on my side. In conjunction with those destruction cards, I also play a 3 of Masked Deuce. The Deucer is a beautiful alt-art, but besides being a beautiful alt-art, it also kind of helps you in the Law matchup, the Zoro matchup. The fact that it destroys 2Ks is really, really nice. If I use it in conjunction with Otama and Gordon, it can destroy a little bit bigger costed cards. And the fact that I can use Luffy's ability, because this requires a Dawn ×2, is kind of nice. He can become a threat. He's a 2K. Overall, solid card. Then the man, the myth, the legend. Played 3 Gordon. I play a 3 split of Masked Deuce and Gordon. Gordon is absolutely bananas, and it wouldn't be a Yeehaw video if it wasn't for the 3. So my destruction section is this exactly right here. This is what I use to keep tempo in those very aggressive matchups, which I didn't lose any of those very aggressive matchups. I only ended up losing Fiend and the Mirror match. Funnily enough, but my opponent's deck was very, very consistent. A lot of 4-ofs. Then I have the countered section, right? So we have our aggression, we have our bread and butter, we have our destruction. Now let's go for the defense. We have triple of the promo Luffy. Luffy is the option that I chose because it can be aggressive as well as a defensive piece of cardboard. because it can swing for 7. I did field this unironically in some of my matchups. I think in top 32, I played 2 of this guy because my early game was so terrible. I also play a 3 of Makino, which is a little sneaky push card that allows me to make my Nami's a more aggressive piece of interaction, because usually Nami just kind of sits there for the rest of the game after she finds you a card, but Makino makes it so that you kind of have to deal with the Nami in a way, or at least be cognizant that she can always declare an attack. Then I got the best 2K counter in the game, Otama, the most reliable, the Probo Pack winner. He's just, what a card, man, what a card. So powerful. And then lastly, for our event spell counters, I play a weird little split of 1 Red Hawk. Again, I was expecting a lot of Law and Zoro, and that was a pretty good expectation. And then I played a 2 of Radical Beam. Radical Beam is just a broken card, oftentimes leaving my opponent to let me get all the way down to 2 life, and then I can start countering once I get there with ample hand size. And by having ample hand size, I have a way to make a good decision making for the rest of the game. And then what really stood out in my deck and made my deck a little bit different than the other Luffy players was I play a 2-2 split of Uda and Chopper. So that was just a little bit interesting and different. Like, that's why there's a lot of 3-ofs in my deck. If you remove a Mass Deuce, you remove a Pistol, and you remove 2 Vistas, you get exactly this here, right? Those were the spots that I changed to make this happen. Now, Chopper was a card that, funnily enough, is, you know, people say that 1-drop blockers aren't really good in this meta because of cards like Vista. Not only Vista, Mass Deuce, Mass Deuce, as well as the fact that people are also on Nico Robin, they're on Marshall D. All these cards that really get rid of this very unassuming 1K. But what if they don't have it? If they don't have it, this Chopper, and I feel that at the exact right moment, this Chopper all weekend had blocked 10K attacks. I've seen Chopper block 9Ks. He became a Radical Beam for me. It did more work than it needed to if you just place it correctly, right? I didn't want to play 4 of it because that's a non-countered card that I didn't need. But what's really nice is that Nami can search it, Early D can search it, and once I use it, I can recur it with Uda if necessary. I have basically the classic Gecko Moria Trafalgar Law that Blue has, but I have it in my red version. Not only that, Uda can find me Zoro, she can find me Nami, okay, kind of anything I really wanted. I wanted to field her, see how she did, help me in my grind matchups, because I wanted the red matchup to be a grind. I wanted to just be you play a card, you turn yours sideways, I take yours, and then I Uda, so I have more value than you, and that's kind of what I was trying to do in those matchups, and that's the way it kind of panned out for me all weekend. Fortunately enough, these cards were really, really good. I know they seem a little bit bizarre, but give them a shot and see how they work for you. So that's going to be the end of my deck profile, guys. Make sure to leave a like down below, a comment to say hi, and as always, if you're liking this sort of content, make sure to keep checking out PBG for more pro game videos, and I'll see y'all later.